Welcome back to yet another episode of Winding Down, where we discuss interesting and controversial issues. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Uzam.
Hello to all our viewers at home. Today we are going to be discussing education and the arts. I'm sure we can all agree that education is such a powerful and beautiful part of our lives, which is why we saw it fit to bring you this conversation today. We are going to be joined by our guest, Lungelo Gumede. He is well known for his work in the sculpture and statue industry.
We are joined by our good doctor, Dr. Gumede. Sawubona dokotela.
I'm good.
Welcome to Winding Down. We are happy to actually have you here. So Tina, as tradition, we actually share a glass of wine with our guests.
Okay.
So I hope you don't mind.
No.
So that we have a very interesting conversation, and please do not hold back on whatever it is that we're going to be talking about. So sibonge nje ukuthi si ube khona la nathi namhlanje. But into engizocela ukuyibuza first of all, one is actually not, I actually like the space, so I call your workshop and stuff. One thing that I've realized is that there's not a lot of sculpturists in South Africa. For someone who came from Ndwedwe and you decided, Uchi, this is something that you would like to pursue, what is it that made you actually want to do a sculpturist instead of drawing? Because a lot of people, that's what they would really actually go for.
Well, it's all started back at home in Ndwedwe, from the drawing board. Because before you become a sculptor, you have to have a basic knowledge of drawing. So with me, I started doing sketches while I was still young, growing up in Ndwedwe. So then when I finished my matric, I came to the Bed Center to do the residency art program, where I started learning visual arts. Then from there, when I got the bursary, because I was voted an outstanding student to this program, 2003 at the Bed Center. Then when I went to DUT, that's when I started sculpturing. Yes. For me to choose sculpture, it had to start with the drawing. You become an artist first before you become a sculptor.
That makes sense.
Hearing you mention that you had to go and study at DUT and here at Bed Center, what role does secular education play in the arts industry?
It plays a very big role. Because most of the time you find out that most of the artists who are just talented, it's hard to get that success or to be successful if you just have talent
only.
You have to have the skill. You have to go to school. You have to get that education. So that's when you mix the skill with talent, then you get the doctor, you understand?
Because most people actually believe that artists are born. They're naturally born. You don't learn it. It's not a skill that you acquire. You have to be born with it. So you have to get the skill, even if the talent is there.
That's what I always advise people. Because I mean, as we as artists, we can tell even by looking at the work of art that the guy is just natural talent. And then you can see when there's a skill
talent
applied,
is mixed with education.
Exactly. That is talent with education.
All right.
Are there people that you find which maybe Umutu is not necessarily born as a creative, so to speak, but they can just
acquire the skill.
Acquire the skill instead of
being born with it.
Yes, I've seen that a lot. Like I said, that's me growing up in Ndwedwe, we didn't have art as a subject. So when I finished matric, I didn't have any basic education in terms of art. You know, so when I went to varsity at DUT, we met up with learners, or with students, should I say, who actually had a basic education in terms of arts, who actually knows the art history, everything. So me coming from the humble beginning, from Ndwedwe, I didn't know anything about arts, but I had a talent.
Of course.
So now it was a battle of the fitness with the education, with the other education, with my talent. I mean, who beats who? You understand? There was always that competition. I mean, most of the students, they came from the multiracial schools. I mean, they will tell you about artists, about methodologies, about
things that you don't know.
That I didn't know. But then we learned that. Once I learned that and mastered that with my skill, then
you became a doctor.
Exactly, I like that.
Yeah.
So in terms of inspiration, what would you say really inspired you into even get into the fine arts?
Well, a person like me who grew up doing it, I would say that back then it's something that I grew up doing. Before it was just me drawing. So you were definitely born with it. Yes,
it's not something which
yes.
So it answers the question very
yes. There's something that inspired me. It was something that was in me that I grew up doing. Since I grew up.
The artistry. You look at fine arts. The balance between females and males, who actually would you say dominates the most?
Well, mostly it's male, you know.
Okay.
But we do have female artists who are very good.
Okay.
You know, but most even if you go to varsity, even if you go to exhibitions, you find out that most of the time it's male dominated industry, you know.
Okay.
But you do find that women also are very good at it, you know. And they do amazing work. Trust me, I know a lot of them. They're very good at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think taking insights from VK's question of who is dominant in the arts industry, maybe we can also ask the question that in that space of males being more dominant, what are the power struggles that females often find themselves facing in terms of having to climb the ladder of success within the arts industry, the things that they have to go through. We've had so many stories, women testifying that they had to have sex with so-and-so or pay so-and-so in order to get to a certain point within the arts industry because it's so difficult for them.
Yes.
Have you ever had that experience in your case? Have you ever had to pay your way up?
Not really. Not really in my case, because with me, I'm gonna be honest with you, it was not easy at the beginning, because at the beginning you have to make your name in the art industry. Once you build up your name, once you get that exposure, then it becomes easy. You don't look for work, the work comes to you. But in the beginning, when you're climbing the ladder, you work hard trying to put yourself out there, trying to put your work out there in the galleries, you know, and stuff like that, working crossover, working overnight, you know, which I think that's a difficult part for women. At school, there's this girl, Onotando, or was our classmates, you know. Her father used to bring her to the studio and bring her clothes and everything. Whereas we at the studio, we just
nobody comes and takes care of you.
Yes, I mean, you just work. When you're tired, you just sit down and then you just bow your head and then you sleep, you know. Yes.
Do you think that view that you're currently raising now plays to this ideology that women are weak or fragile and cannot stand certain jobs or certain environments?
Well, not weak as such. I think fragile is the right word to use instead of weak, you know, because I mean, the talent is there. I mean, you all guys are talented, you know. It's just that if the industry is rough, it just needs your time. You just need 90% of your time in the studio, you know, which is for women. You have to go home, you have to cook, you have to do all those kind of things, which we as men
you're not
don't
expected to do.
Exactly. So for us, I mean, me, I spend 90% of my time in the studio.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Zama ngiyabona ukuthi udinga ngicela lapho.
That's good. Thank you.
So another question, Dogotela, that I would like to ask is with regards to umsebenzi wakho. I understand ukuthi you already have your own Lungelo Works Museum, but prior to that, did you have your work actually exhibited anywhere else, locally or across the globe?
I've had exhibitions like almost around the world. Like I said, my first exhibition that I had was in Rome, in Italy. And then from there, my work was seen by a guy who had also a gallery in New York, Mark Crandall.
Okay.
While in Rome, he invited me to go to New York to have an exhibition there. It was a group exhibition there where they were raising up funds. So they used my paintings there for auction. It was in East Hampton in Long Island. Then from there, I also exhibited my work in New Zealand. It was Art in the Park There was in Greymouth in New Zealand.
Yes.
And then I exhibited in the Essence Music Festival. I was the only non-American exhibitor to exhibit in the Essence Music Festival in 2007.
Okay.
You know, that was
something
for me.
big.
Yeah, it was something big for me. And then from there, I had the first solo exhibition in Hollywood.
Okay.
Yes.
LA.
Levels.
Los Angeles. Yes.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Levels.
That was in 2015. I had like 15 statues of African American actors wearing traditional outfits.
Okay.
I had Oprah. I had so many celebrities, American celebrities. That
Yes.
did there. Yes. Then which other exhibition that I had? Also just that I'm just talking about the one outside the country.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and then
but
also in Atlanta as well, underground Atlanta.
okay, Georgia.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now it sounds like you've really had an extensive time in actually putting out your work and also being invited. I mean, Italy, we know its history when it comes to art.
It was unbelievable for me. Even my mother couldn't believe it for the first time. I mean, she wanted me to become a medical doctor. I mean,
Okay. She wanted you to become a medical doctor,
But you're now
you
a
became a
doctor.
different type of
The
doctor.
other way around.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's actually interesting. I would like to actually ask you more questions on the topic of education specifically in the arts. But for now, we would like to actually go on a break. Welcome back, guys. We are still with our good doctor, Dr. Lungelo, Studio Sake, where we are having a conversation on the arts. Dr. Before we went to the break, there was a question being eaten from Buzayon with regards to a question of education in the arts. Do you feel that a lot is being done by our government to actually focus the arts industry, or not necessarily so?
I think government, what I think they should do is to introduce arts equally. If they can invest in bringing not just teachers to teach arts, but artists to teach arts.
To incorporate them equally.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that, I mean, it's easy to learn from the best, to learn from the artists, rather than to have teacher mates to fundis the arts.
Yeah, it's okay. No, it makes sense, because the other thing being eating following up on what you just said is does that seem to affect abantu abamnyama?
Exactly, it does. Like I said before, I mean, at school I was excelling. At school I was excelling in my craft, in my drawings, in my paintings. But when it comes to communication, art history, and all those kind of things, my marks were very low. You understand? Because I didn't have a background.
Exactly. Yes.
So I think that what they think they should do, government invest more in bringing arts directly into equally.
What kept your fire burning or your passion burning? What nurtured you in those early stages where arts in the education wasn't an option for you?
I was very persuasive in doing what I was doing. Even my class teachers, I mean, they know. You get to choir schooling, you get those 72 pages. My 72 pages would end up being like 32 pages because I would tear up the page and draw while the teacher is teaching on the chalkboard. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's something that I just wanted to do. Regardless of what we have art as an art in school, we didn't have, so it's something that's unclean against. It's, I think
you nurtured your own skill.
Exactly.
No, I understand. I want to ask you something. We all know Maskula, and when you start looking for jobs or studying towards something, there's this obsession with Joburg, as if everything starts and ends in Joburg. And specifically in the arts industry, we believe that you can only make it when you're in Joburg. So what do you think can be done to change that narrative, or it's still there?
It is still there.
And I think it's across all
I'm telling you, in all art industries, even with me, I'm sorry to say that most of my clients are in Joburg.
Don't be sorry. As long as money.
I think this thing started 2,000 years ago when Jesus was crucified by his own people.
So you're saying we cannot change it?
No one is celebrated at home like they are celebrated when they go outside.
No, true.
I mean, I'll tell you, if I go to Joburg, I get invited by, like currently there's a project I'm doing in Sentin. In Sentin, what they do, they invite me they transport me,
they support
book me
you.
in hotels, good hotels, and they pay me, and I display my work. You know, what is here at home? They just
you have to fund everything for yourself.
They just like my work, and then when there's time for them to talk about me, our very own dog type. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like that.
They take the credits, but they don't support your work.
Even if you go overseas, you see, when I go overseas, to them, when they receive me, it's like, wow, this artist from South Africa. They think I'm a celebrity. They think because I'm the only artist to exhibit in the Essence Music Festival. They think that you must be somebody.
No, of course.
Only to find out Lungelo Gumede. You understand? Even me myself, they welcome me. I had my own chauffeur, you know. I sang Star Hotels. I mean, booked with all the celebrities. These people, okay, they think that I'm some kind of a
big thing.
Exactly. You're a big shot.
Exactly.
In other countries.
When you come back home,
you're nothing.
I understand. I mean, we should get paid as artists' salaries. It's supposed to be umsebenzi, not to hustle like we do. You understand? You know, I think there's more room for government. I mean, to play in the industry to make sure that we don't go broke. We don't go hungry.
Yeah.
But
to actually get recognition.
I think what the Pagatwayo, but at the same time, you've actually proven the fact that sometimes people don't have to rely on the government. You have to approach it with an entrepreneurial approach. So the moment that's what you're going to wait on the government to do this, then nothing is going to actually. So somehow maybe Nati, we kind of like have to shift the way we think in the creative space. Within ourselves, how do we then actually improve the creative space? You've proven that it is possible.
Yeah, it is true. Funding, sponsor. I don't even know what that is, you know.
But I'm sure they have approached you though with at least
they want to fund your sponsor.
Never. I know it doesn't sound, but it is true. I mean, I've never received any kind of help or support like a sponsor. Everything that I've ever done, it's either I do this, it's either I do my work, I sell it, I keep the money, I do another one, I sell it, I keep the money. Even my international exhibitions, the one I was telling you about,
you fund them yourself.
Self-funded. I was paying about 150,000 to transport just the paintings, just to transport the paintings, about 150,000 rand just from my own pockets.
And that consignmenting paintings now?
Like about 15 paintings. To transport them overseas. I know the prices. I know who are people who are transporting paintings and stuff like that. You know, so it's just. You know, it's just like that. You have to pave your way through. Because if you're waiting for funding, you'll wait.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Still on that point.
No, don't be.
Still on that point of business in the arts. We all know artists testify all the time that they are famous, they are well known, they appear on television, we think they are big shots, but then they die poor. So I want to ask you a question, Uguti. What do you think is the gap? Is it a lack of financial management, or is it only just being a freelancer? It's not you don't have a basic salary that comes in every month. You get a job maybe once a month. Any job. So what's the issue with artists, not only painters or fine arts, even entertainment actors, musicians? We know them, they are big, but then they die poor. Some of them don't even get to the point of dying poor. They are poor.
Exactly.
While famous. So what is the gap, and how can that gap be bridged? Is it a financial management issue? Do you guys fail to manage your finances? Or what is it in your perspective?
Do you want the truth, or you want me to continue with the conversation?
Truth, and can we drink to that? Truth, and can we drink to that? Truth.
Well, I'll tell you from my experience, you know, I've been broke before. I've been rich before. You know, so
broken rich.
Exactly. So I know the gap. And every time when someone, needs to choose between being broke and being rich, we always want to
be rich.
Exactly. But what I think is actually the problem that makes most of artists, I'll show you, is the fact that when I do this project,
Yeah.
and I get paid this amount of money,
You spend all of it.
you know that there's another project on the pipeline.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You will know what I'm
So you
saying.
chow the money.
Exactly. If I made $1 million by doing this project,
Yeah.
and I'm doing the same project,
Again.
I know there's $1 million.
There's $1
already
million coming.
Exactly. So I know that I didn't win the lottery. Nobody sponsored me with this thing. I
Yes.
went for it.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to
just
go and
splash
buy a
it.
Lambo,
Yeah.
you know, and come back.
And you
just
actually
stick
have
it
a
around.
Lambo.
Oh, come on.
I did my research. You have a Lambo. You have a Lamborghini, Lungelo. You do. Welcome back, guys. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say I didn't get the ride, but he promised Suguti he'll give me the ride. VK.
Yeah, I actually had a question, Dr. before we went to the break. Was I know what he, in fact, I think even Nasekalin, I asked the question on inspiration. I know sometimes abanye abantu they find inspiration. Uyafika la.
Not really.
No.
Not really. Ngazama ngahluleka. You know, I mean, everywhere. I'm an artist.
Yes.
I mean, when you are introducing the art industry,
Yes.
it's
part of the industry.
Exactly, that's the thing. Yes, yes.
You try and taste. You're like, no, this is not.
It's not your thing.
Because my grandmother used to say to me, lento igmini yabantu abadala. This is why I like
So
to
you
work at
spend
night. Yeah,
okay.
that's why I like to
Okay.
work at night,
Okay.
because I mean, my grandmother used to think that it's something spiritual.
Spiritual, yeah.
Shuthi abantu abadala bafikayo kumina, and then they
And then that work comes out
Yeah.
through and
because now I cannot explain how I do it, but I do it anyway.
and yeah, Sama, you remember we had a conversation about the project that Doctor did,
Yeah.
Lega Mandela,
Lots of
where he had
Mandelas
to
around.
create 30 statues
Yeah.
to celebrate Ulokundana Mandela. We actually are surrounded
By Mandela.
by Mandela in the workshop. So I just wanted Dogotela to take us through that, because I understand it took you 2 years to do that project.
Yes, it took me 2 years to do that project. We were celebrating 30 years Madiba was released in prison, so I had to do those statues celebrating his life. It was like a statue talking about his life journey from when he was born up until his death.
That's very interesting. So, guys, what we will do now is ask the good doctor to take us through the workshop, just utas khombise nje umsebenzi wakhe, so that you also understand the space lesasebenzela kusona.
No problem. It's just head and shoulders. Yeah, my past head and shoulders of Madiba when he was young. A cool in the
always very
prison.
formal, even from a young age.
Yes, he was.
To make him more formal.
No, he was always formal at his young age. He only started wearing a mashetaki when he became the president, like from the side. Wakulu up until I say he came. And this side, guys, we have our political leaders. We have the ministers this side. Joban Bonajila, Undos Lau Pegitele, Wetemantashe, Minister of Finance, Minister of Arts and Culture, Nazi. So this side, this is where we're displaying like our political leaders.
Okay.
And then if you come this side, we've got women. Yes, our political leaders.
Ngiyambona umama Albertina laphana hleli phansi. And then obviously then we have our president ngala Ramaphosa, and then David, Blade, Zemande.
You know that we love to hear from you guys, so don't forget to engage us down in the comment section. Drop your comments, questions. We'll be more than willing to answer your questions. And don't forget that we still have so much more coming for you. So stay tuned. This is Winding Down, the place to be.